So trading tip of the week, futures trading. Now, I don't know how many of you that watch this trade the futures. I'm focusing this more on commodities because what I want to talk about here, and possibly even oil, is because it's about the forward curve. Now, the forward curve, with futures, we're very lucky. We don't have to just trade spot. We can trade for months, even years ahead. And so people can hedge that far ahead as well. You've got companies and manufacturers that want to be able to do that. Suppliers, providers, they all want that, lock in those prices. And with the futures, you do get that opportunity. So this is a picture below, which is the forward curve. As you can see, the oil prices, so the nearest delivery at the moment for oil is September. And if you look as it goes out to August next year, we've got higher prices at the front, lower prices as we go through into next year. That means that the forward curve is in backwardation. So that is where we have higher prices at the front, lower prices at the back. But we've got all these listed months and it does provide us with opportunities. Now, when you look at that chart, there's a dot going that sort of correlates and is in line with each of those months. And that effectively was the price at the time that this curve was formed. And it does move around. If you look back to sort of when oil was over 100, $120, that curve was even much steeper than it is now. So it is beginning to flatten for sure. And that usually happens. So when the price of oil starts to come down, then the calendar spreads, the difference between the 1 month and the nearest month to it, or even further along, starts to narrow. When oil goes up, they start to widen. Now, what I like about calendar spreads, and I play them a lot, I was even playing them sort of last week and taking positions in them, was because I get to control the volatility much more. Basically, a calendar spread is a long short. I'm going to buy 1 month and sell another month, and I get to choose which ones I want to do, or vice versa. I might sell and buy, depends which way I think oil's going. But it is really interesting, and I can control the volatility much more rather than the market, and that's useful for me. Now, if that's something you'd like to learn more about, then please get in touch with us. I'm happy to give you more of an explanation. We do courses on commodities and we do courses on trading strategies, which this would come under as well. Now, technical analysis. So we're going to go in and just take a look at some charts from last week. So really stocks consolidated, I would say, last week, despite that data that came out, especially the NFP. But some key levels, that's just basically the legend there as it is each week, just to point out the color codes that I use in the right hand column. And Fibonacci levels are there as well on the right hand side. So stocks are stocks, they all pretty much follow each other. So here we are with the daily, and I've managed to identify a resistance level. The key resistance level for me is higher up. It's the 34031 level. I just, that's been there for quite some time now, pretty much since May. So, the way things are, I'm not sure it's going to get broken, but we're going to have to wait and see on that. Again, got some support levels below as well, but I don't expect those support levels to be that strong, but we will see as the week goes on. Here it is on the 30-minute. So the 30-minute on the Dow, it spent most of the morning on Friday very sticky around the pivot point. That's that solid blue line. And then when NFP came out, the market sort of really aggressively sold off. It went through S1, didn't stop there, but it found support at S2, which is that green line, the 32454 level. It sort of hung around there for a little while, but it just couldn't go down any further. The sellers died out and the buyers came back in. And of course, then by the end of the session, we've recovered all the way back to the pivot point again. With the S&P daily, again, support and resistance lines are in there. The horizontal lines for support, the nearest one, the 40.80 and a quarter, I put that in brown because I think that could be a sort of a breakout level if it breaks below that at any stage, and then you might see some more selling coming in, and then obviously you're going to see the support lower down. If it does break on the upside and gets through the 4168 level, then again I've got that major resistance level in there in my mind, which is the 4302 and a 75. You know, that again, that sort of for all the stocks, it's the same, where they've been there since May, where they sort of struggled to make new highs, and then the market sold off from there. So this is the 30-minute, again with the pivot points. I've got the pivot points on all of them, and this one came down a little bit further. It did break through S2, but then the bounce came. It didn't quite get back to close above the pivot, but it's in between S1 and the pivot. So again, it's going to be interesting this next week with not so much data coming out, some inflationary stuff. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. You know, the dollar was reasonably steady again last week. It's, you know, it started the week a little bit weaker, but then it sort of strengthened up, obviously, because of what was going on with the data. And of course, you know, the expectations that the Fed in September are going to be hiking. It's just a matter of by how much now. So the S&P 30 minutes there, support resistance. Okay, so move on to the Nasdaq. I haven't really got so many levels there. I've still got that major level above, which is 13,547.2. You know, that one may, even if it has a little bit more of a rally, go and test that. I hope it does. And then on the downside, again in brown, I've got the 12,688, because if it breaks that on the downside, I believe that's a breakout point, and then for me, I'd be looking probably to sell that. This is the 30-minute. Again, it sort of got down, it sort of held around the S2, which was nice. It couldn't rally as much, so it's only just sort of got back to S1. So as I say, it's going to be an interesting start to the week to see where the stocks open, you know, especially now most of the earnings are out of the way. Okay, so we're moving on to the Russell 2000, the smaller mid-cap stocks. And again, got that resistance level above. Also got a trend line, support and resistance are in there. The numbers for them are in the black as always. You know, the Russell's much more sensitive to what's going on with interest rates, what's going on with the consumers than the bigger companies. Here it is on the 30-minute. Again, it had that big sell-off. It found some lovely support at S2, big bounce, and then it actually went all the way up above the pivot to test and close around R1. So R1 is the first resistance level, R2 is the second, etc. And S1 support, S2 is the second support. Okay, so here's pound against the dollar. So what can I say? You know, I don't want to influence you or that, but I've just got no confidence in the pound or the euro at the moment, just because of the economic situation. You know, you've got the dollar and the States steamrolling ahead, if you believe everything that's there at the moment. But, you know, I'm in the UK and I definitely don't see that. All I see is a lot of consumer pain, and I expect that to be the same situation in Europe as well, especially with these gas and electricity prices punishing us. So moving on to the pound against the dollar on the 30-minute with the pivots. Again, you know, we had that big sell-off over the data. So where the dollar started a bit weaker at the beginning of the week, it certainly came back with a vengeance. I just don't see why the pound's above 120, quite honestly, but it is. So here we have the euro against the dollar on the daily. Again, similar sort of thing. You know, the dollar started weaker at the beginning of the week. It picked up towards the end, especially on Friday when the data came out so strong. And again, I just can't gain any confidence in the euro the same as I can't the pound at the moment, just because of what's going on with the war and the impact it's all having with electricity prices, gas prices, inflation in general. But here we can see that it did look as though it wanted to try and break the 103 at one stage, but again, then it failed to. This is the euro on the 30-minute, again with the pivots. So it spent the first part of the day above the pivot point level. And then when the data came out, it just crashed straight through that. It found sort of some support again. And it still didn't recover that great. I mean, it's only made it back to S1. So as I say, I just personally, I just can't get any confidence. I'm not keen to buy the euro. I'm not keen to buy the pound. My view remains the same that I've been bullish at the dollar for over 2 years now, and of course it's going to change at some stage. But when you see what's going on in America in comparison to the rest of the world at the moment, I don't see it happening just yet. So let's just wait and see. Obviously, the dollar's just not going to keep going and going and going. There's going to be a turn at some stage, but we're going to have to wait for that. Okay, so moving on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin daily here. Now, Bitcoin, it didn't necessarily react as most people would have expected it to, bearing in mind that correlation, that loose correlation it's got with stocks. It held up quite well on Friday. So again, got the support resistance lines in there and also a breakout level, but that's above 27,000. So I'm not sure we're going to see that quite yet, but hopefully we will at some stage. Here's the 30-minute with the pivots on, and here all we've got to sort of, again, it's sort of the pivot point itself was a great support level on Friday. As I mentioned about the correlation here, so this is Bitcoin, Nasdaq, and it did diverge a little bit last week. It wasn't sort of mimicking each other as tightly as it does most of the time. And you do tend to see that little breakout from time to time. Sometimes that's an arbitrage opportunity, but, one, you've got to be brave to trade Bitcoin. And two, you've got to understand definitely what you're doing there, any ratios that you're going to need, and how to manage the risk in that for sure. So, it's not one really to be involved in unless you have a lot of experience, but it's one to watch. Gold had a good week. It did come off a little bit from the highs, but its last few days, the last couple of weeks at least, have been positive. There was a big sell-off down below 1700, which not that I didn't really understand it, but I couldn't believe it. It was great opportunities. For me, it was buying call options, but here we are close to 1800. Did get slightly above it, and for me, I don't see too much resistance. I think the buyers will come back in. Again, it's just really going to depend a lot on what the Fed do. This is the 30-minute. So again, just got the support and resistance in there. it's just consolidating at the moment. Of course, it came off from reacting to NFP as well on Friday. Finally, last but not least, I guess you would say, is WTI. So here we have the daily. It's come off. It had a good sell-off. Nervousness about recessions. You know, as I say, much more than the fact that OPEC's offered to increase quotas by 100,000 barrels a day, which quite honestly doesn't even fill a tanker, not a super tanker for sure. I put a support level in there just around the 86 and a bit, so let's see what happens at the beginning of the week. Just be a little bit careful with oil, it is volatile. And finally, here's the 30-minute. As you can see, I've got it in a slight downtrend there, but I can see some support resistance around, and that's about it. And all I can do is just say I wish you the very best of luck with your trading next week. As usual, any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, we do provide lots of webinars, seminars, lots of information to try and support you guys. First of all, we've got the daily newsletter. That includes daily chart levels, pivot points, global news, my views, all of that is there. And because it comes out daily, they're current daily levels. Whereas the video that we put out YouTube on a Friday, sorry, on a Monday morning, that obviously is sort of this overview of the week ahead. But if you want the sort of up-to-date daily stuff, then just go and click on the link there or type that in, and we'll be happy to register you for our daily newsletter. We also provide workshops, one-day workshops. Now this week coming, I'm in London Tuesday and Thursday. There's 2 sessions each day. They're just repeats, but it's about, you know, trading, what it entails, trading tips, mistakes traders make, how to manage risk reward, technical analysis, trading psychology, you name it. If it's to do with trading, I'm going to be talking about it. If you want to bring your laptop along with you, you're more than welcome to join in as well. So that would be great to see you. So that's Tuesday and Thursday in London. Contact us for details. Now, courses, we do 1-week courses for trading financial markets, trading commodity markets, and of course we do our major course, which is our masterclass, which is financial and commodity trading, which is 4 weeks of guided learning. But you do not have to take those 4 weeks all in one go. You can turn that into a 2-month course, 3-month course, 6-month course. We don't mind. We repeat that class over and over again, so that gives you the opportunity to rejoin it, and it means that you don't have to use up necessarily all of your holiday or take that 1 month off all at one go. So you can split those weeks into 4 weeks, and of course you only pay for the weeks that you attend, and we provide a pricing plan to help you with that if you need it. If you want to get details, again, the best thing is probably to contact us with our info details email at the bottom. Trader mentoring, we also provide trader mentoring. You know, there's a lot of people out there that have some skills, but I can improve them for anybody and everybody. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. And we do a lot of consulting, and the consulting's to companies, it's to corporates, it's to commercial users, helping them to understand how to hedge properly, and of course naturally provide trader education content and to exchanges, brokers, individuals. You know, for us it's all about the trading, and again, you know, if you come and do our masterclass and you can impress us and you can pass the exams and the challenge that we set, we will actually take you on to the Symax prop trading desk. So contact details, info@symaxfintech.com, If you've got anything you would like to ask me directly, then my email is chris.tubby@symax-int.com. I do look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week and hopefully catch up with you again next week. Bye for now.